CTV News with Kelly Gregg.
Good evening. The grid is set, and for the third year in a row, George Russell will be in the pole position for tomorrow's Canadian Grand Prix.
George Russell through the final chicane. We've got Kimi Antonelli trying to make it 4 poles in a row. Here in Montreal, is it 4 poles in a row for Russell? It is! By merest hundredths of a second. George Russell's done it right at the end.
The Mercedes driver had the fastest lap on the track today, edging out teammate Kimi Antonelli by 0.068 of a second. The pair are also on top of the driver's standings. Fan favorite Lewis Hamilton will start in 5th and Max Verstappen in 6th. Russell says the team made some adjustments after the sprint race and in light of tomorrow's rainy forecast, but still managed to come out on top.
We made some changes as a team. We need to review after if that was the right direction, and then obviously that last lap just sort of came from nowhere, and it was just such a great feeling when it was such a challenging session, and then you just pull it all together. That last lap to sort of throw yourself up a leaderboard was epic.
Race time tomorrow is 4 p.m., which is a change from most other years. It was pushed later so as to not clash with the Indianapolis 500. But for the first time ever, Grand Prix weekend is happening at the same time as a Habs playoff run. Here's Sweeta Rassi on what it means for the city.
Checkered flags fill the streets, but so do Habs jerseys.
Cars are around, everyone's honking, everyone's lively, everyone's cheering.
They're cheering because the Montreal Canadiens are in the Eastern Conference Final.
And the Canadian Grand Prix is go!
And at the same time, the Formula One Grand Prix is in town. For fans, that means planning ahead is important.
And then there's qualifying later, and then straight from qualifying, you can go back downtown and you can go watch the Habs game.
While the Grand Prix in Montreal typically runs in June, organizers moved it up this year to reduce the event's carbon footprint. Montreal Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada is feeling the city's energy.
I'm having the F1 end of May to start, the CH that's still in the series, the Victoire that won the cup, and the festivals are starting. This is one of the best places in the world to be in this time of year.
More than 350,000 visitors are expected this weekend. Tourism Montreal estimates the Grand Prix alone will generate $100 million in economic benefits. At a playoff run, and it's even more.
It's almost like Christmas economically. It's going to be the best weekend of the year by far.
For one tourist, catching a Habs game and watching the race is a bucket list experience. But there's just one problem: finding a place to stay.
Then there's no hotels available, so that was a problem. So we're staying kind of a little bit far out.
The Hotel Association of Greater Montreal says most hotels are near maximum capacity.
For the nights of the playoffs, we can see an increase of 30 to 40% of occupancy rate for the hotel industry.
A weekend like no other right here in Montreal. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
And once again, groundhogs are stealing some of the spotlight of the Grand Prix. After another collision on the track, questions are growing about how wildlife is being managed around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil has that story.
They're a staple of Grand Prix weekend. Groundhogs popping up along the track, darting across the circuit, and sometimes getting dangerously close to the action. Last year, one of those encounters left racer Lewis Hamilton visibly shaken.
I was feeling optimistic, and then I didn't see it happen, but obviously I heard I hit a groundhog, so that's devastating.
The 7-time world champion later said he was heartbroken, and this year it happened again. During Friday's practice, Alexander Albin collided with a groundhog, sending his car into the barriers. Now, officials are defending their wildlife management operation around the circuit. To try to prevent those incidents, the Jean Drapeau Park Society says about 30 animals were captured earlier this month, including 20 groundhogs and 10 raccoons. Officials say the animals were safely captured and then released into a more suitable environment on a separate island, Île Sainte-Hélène, before the birthing season. But animal rescuer Rob Boisvert isn't convinced.
You might be able to relocate the mom, but chances are the babies are scared out of their mind. They're now back down in the den. And so once you relocate mom and not the babies, well, babies are, depending on their age, they're not going to be able to look after themselves, and chances are they're going to die.
The park says the operation wrapped up May 15th, earlier than usual because of the Grand Prix advance schedule. But Boisvert says no matter the time, moving animals away from familiar territory can create even more risks.
Because it's in the area where they know where their food and water sources. They also know the predator situation.
We reached out to Terminix, the company handling the wildlife relocation near the track, but did not receive a response in time for this broadcast. The park says it's now using new geolocated traps to better understand where animals are most active around the circuit in hopes of keeping both drivers and wildlife safe. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Well, from F1 to the other sport dominating the city this weekend, tonight is Game 2 between the Habs and the Hurricanes. The Canadians looking to steal a second game on the road. Matt Gilmore is at the Bell Centre, and Matt, there's so much excitement where you are, you'd think it's a home game.
Yeah, that's right, Kelly. Everywhere you look, there are red, white, and blue Habs sweaters, people filing into bars and restaurants looking for a place to watch Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. You can hear behind the Habs fans are getting excited. A few fans did show up here earlier today thinking that there would be an outdoor watch party. We've seen those screens set up outside the Bell Centre. That's not happening tonight. In fact, the Canadians did actually put out a statement earlier today saying that there would be no watch party. Still, that hasn't stopped fans from coming out, trying to take in as much of the atmosphere as they can. And as we get closer to puck drop, the intensity and the buzz is ratcheting up.
I'm hoping that we're going to win big.
I think it's going to be crazy. We love the Habs. It's the best fan base in the world. And yeah, we're pumped to get a win tonight.
We have a very good game and absolutely to win.
Go Habs, go. And I'll also be offering people, if they want a tattoo, face tattoo like mine.
I've been down here several times, but the atmosphere is just nothing. You see it on TV. It's just wild. It's crazy.
I would say 3-2 for Montreal.
3-2 for Montreal.
Yeah.
A closer game this time.
Yeah.
I'll be more optimistic. Probably 4-2. Like they keep their tendencies. So yeah, It should be good.
So Habs fans are confident tonight that their team can get another win on the road. Of course, Game 1's 6-2 win caught many by surprise after the Hurricanes swept their opponents in both of the first 2 rounds. Tonight, we are expecting an answer from the Hurricanes. They did not have an on-ice practice yesterday. Instead, going over video from Game 1, trying to figure out what they'll need to do differently tonight. For the Habs, a win tonight would put them in an incredible position coming home for Game 3. They've only won two games in a row, one so far in these playoffs, and the fans here outside the Bell Centre are confident that they'll be able to do it for a second time. You can hear them. Puck drop tonight at 7 o'clock in Carolina. Kelly.
All right, thanks so much, Matt. That's Matt Gilmore at the Bell Centre tonight. In other news, Quebecers' grocery bills are about to get cheaper.
On va réduire la facture d'épicerie de tous les Québécois.
Premier Christine Fréchette said today her government will get rid of Quebec's sales tax on certain grocery items, using examples like pre-cut fruit, snacks, and muffins. The Premier made the announcement at the CAQ General Council meeting in Lévis.
We need to help Quebecers because the cost of living is very difficult for Quebecers, and we need to take actions in order to answer the needs. We need also to manage public finance in a responsible way.
Fréchette has not excluded spending more than the $250 million the finance minister left her in the March budget on promises like this one. Éric Girard said he did advise the premier on her spending given the current geopolitical climate.
What is going on is that the situation has evolved significantly. When we did the budget, we assumed that the Strait of Hormuz would be closed for a maximum of 6 weeks. We're now in week 13.
The premier said she will remove sales tax, quote, very quickly, and other measures will be announced in the coming days. A Quebec landlord has been ordered to pay his tenants more than $62,000 after evicting a couple when one of them was undergoing cancer treatment. The landlord claimed he needed to repossess the dwelling so his stepson could live there, when in fact he ended up selling the property for more than $1 million. Quebec's Housing Tribunal ruled the landlord acted in bad faith solely to turn a profit at his tenants' expense. Housing Hotline Director Arnold Bennett often hears of similar stories, but he says the fine in this case was exceptional.
You would have expected that the tribunal would have been angry at that and would have awarded damages to the tenant, but usually you don't see an amount like this. I've seen $10,000, $15,000, even $20,000. $62,000 is really, really unusual for a Quebec court. They're normally much cheaper than that on what they award. They must have been really angry at this landlord, really wanted to send a message.
In 2024, Quebec imposed a 3-year moratorium on certain types of evictions, preventing landlords from kicking tenants out to subdivide, enlarge, or change the use of a housing unit. Quebec has ordered the owners of an illegally constructed golf course to restore the wetlands and bodies of water they destroyed. Gildan Clothing CEO Glenn Shemandy and his wife built the course in Austin in the Eastern Townships in 2025. The Environment Ministry says a bog was almost entirely removed to make room for an artificial lake. The government first issued a notice of non-compliance in August 2025, but since then, the Environment Minister says no changes have been made.
Nobody is above the law. There's wetlands that have been destroyed. There's pieces of wet environments as well that have been destroyed. So I think the only thing we can ask the owners is to abide by the order that we've issued. And I'm going to make sure that he complies with that order of restoring all these wetlands and the wet environments around.
The couple must submit a restoration plan and carry out the work within 45 days. Sun Youth held its annual bike giveaway today. The event honored 80 children for their kindness and positive impact on the community. Anastasia Dextrine was there.
It was a morning of celebration at Michel Normandin Arena, but behind the balloons and bikes, the focus was on something deeper.
I believe that if you are a child and you want to help the community, I would go and do what you can.
13-year-old Luke Gonzalez says he went door to door and recycled cans to raise money for the Terry Fox Foundation. He raised more than $2,000 and helped his school beat its fundraising goal.
My grandmother passed away from cancer, so I wanted to help in a way that I could.
He raised the most amount of money out of the 1,000 kids at his school, being one of the youngest, and he just had his mind set to it.
Gonzalez is one of 80 young people being recognized at Sun Youth's 42nd annual Heroes on Bikes giveaway. The event honors good deeds among those ages 5 to 17. With each name called, a brand new bike, and another inspiring story. When Diana Esfandiari heard a nearby child being harmed, she immediately called the police.
A boy was bullying the girl that has cancer. I came and said to the boy, "Why are you doing this?" I wish that the whole entire world has peace.
And a part of promoting that peace can be as simple as showing up. That's why 9-year-old Aurélie Le Tourneau was honored with a bicycle too. At Christmas, I made cards and gifts for seniors, Aurélie says.
À des personnes âgées. She had the idea because her mom works in a veteran hospital.
Marisol Tremblay is Aurélie's teacher. She nominated Aurélie after seeing how she got her classmates involved.
She went on her own during her Christmas vacation to distribute each and every gift, and she brought back to the kids in the class some pictures to show them how important it is to give to others.
Tremblay says there are many young people doing great things, so they deserve the recognition. And the team at Sun Youth hopes that each bike will be a reminder that acts of kindness can start young. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
Montrealers were celebrating nature and learning about our environment at Girard Park in NDG today.
Keep doing this. You got that nice smoke coming out. You see that dust that's forming?
It was the first ever Fest MTL. The gathering was dedicated to environmental awareness. There were speeches, workshops, and activities, all with the goal of immersing the community in nature. And the event was all organized by a 15-year-old.
I've always cared about the environment, and since joining my school's St. George's environmental team relatively early, it's been a large passion of mine. Eco-anxiety, kind of the fear of the progression of climate change and the future of our planet also motivated me to create this. EcoFest is my way of turning those feelings into action and creating something hopeful.
The one-day event wrapped up late this afternoon. And time now for a first look at your forecast. We're currently at a comfortable 20 degrees right now in Montreal and the townships, 19 in Mirabel and Quebec City. But the big question for tomorrow, will we see rain for the race? Wet weather forecast through the morning, but it looks like we will see clearing skies later in the afternoon. Cool though, the high only 13 degrees, and that weather will stick around to start the week. But look at the difference in temperatures come Tuesday, where we'll see a high of 27 degrees and sun. Coming up, back to work with health concerns.
Our members should never have to go into work and worry that their workplace could have an impact on their long-term health.
Some federal employees worried about their office space. And thousands forced out of their homes in California because of the risk of an explosion from a chemical tank. Authorities near Los Angeles are racing to prevent a damaged chemical tank from exploding. It's been leaking hazardous material used to make plastic parts, and thousands of people are under evacuation orders. Jacqueline Lee reports.
First responders are working around the clock to prevent a massive chemical explosion in Garden Grove, California, which is about 35 miles outside Los Angeles. Now, more than 40,000 residents have been forced to evacuate, and at least a dozen schools closed. Officials fearing a toxic explosion after noxious vapors spewed into the air due to a leak at an aerospace manufacturing company. Authorities reporting earlier today that the temperature inside one of the tanks has been increasing each hour. Hazmat crews sent in to try to neutralize the chemical to prevent it from exploding. Now, the incident commander said they are working on trying to cool the tank from the outside in. They said they do not want to accept the fact that this will just explode. They want to keep the community as safe as possible, and they are working with experts around the country to come up with ideas. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Cypress, California.
At least 82 people were killed in a gas explosion at a coal mine in China. It happened late yesterday with 247 workers underground. The cause of the blast is under investigation. It was the country's worst coal mine disaster in 16 years. State media are reporting officials running the mine have been taken into custody. Public servants are being asked to spend more time in the office, and as some of the buildings are renovated to accommodate more workers, asbestos has been discovered in several national defense buildings. Dylan Dyson reports.
The comforts of safe drinking water, not something afforded to National Defense employees in downtown Ottawa.
Our members should never have to go into work and worry that their workplace could have an impact on their long-term health.
CTV News has obtained this photo showing a water fountain inside the National Defense Headquarters building, covered by plastic sheets with a warning sign for asbestos. A source employed at the building said multiple water fountains on different floors were blocked off, with others advising employees to use bottled water.
It's not surprising that this would be on multiple floors. This is present in most of our buildings, unfortunately.
Asbestos was used in building materials before 1990 and has since been banned in Canada for causing cancer and lung diseases. Health Canada says there are no significant health risks if materials containing asbestos are left undisturbed, sealed behind walls or floorboards, or tightly bound in products that are in good condition. But the unions representing employees in the D&D headquarters building say removing it entirely will take years, meaning staff will have to work alongside it.
The employer has the responsibility to communicate those hazards. While putting up a sign might be adequate to meet the law, it doesn't do anything to alleviate the concerns of the occupants of the building.
CTV News reached out to D&D for comment on the asbestos situation, but did not receive a response.
What's really important, especially with this push to return federal public service workers into these workspaces with these mandates, is making sure that the employer is living up to their responsibilities.
And as federal government workers are mandated back to the office 4 days a week, there are concerns that remodeling offices to create more space will lead to more asbestos exposure.
I think that with bringing more people back to the office and having to repair, you are creating an increased hazard. Absolutely. It needs to be mitigated properly. And people need to know that they're safe before taking residency in an office space.
It's more than, do I have a seat? Is it safe for me to go into work? Is the air clean? Is there mold? Are there pests?
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
A South Korean submarine has arrived off the coast of British Columbia. It's a kind of sub that's been shortlisted to replace Canada's aging fleet. Adrian Gabriel takes a closer look.
As its fin pierced through the waters of the Juan de Fuca Strait, with the distant U.S. Olympic mountain passage painting a powerful canvas, the Republic of Korea's Navy made a pointed, picturesque arrival at CFB Esquimalt.
We're in a different environment. We are in an environment where Canadians are taking sovereignty seriously.
And this Republic of Korea naval vessel could be a key piece of defending Canada's future. The federal government is set to acquire up to 12 new submarines for the Royal Canadian Navy. The price tag is pegged at roughly $25 billion. The KSS-3 that's arrived here in Esquimalt, British Columbia, is built by South Korean shipping giant Hanwha, and it's on the short list to be selected as Canada's next generation submarine.
It has the range and endurance to manage the biggest ocean in the world.
The CEO of Hanwha in Canada on hand today to make a strong pitch.
This is about the most advanced conventional submarine that you're going to find anywhere on the planet right now.
If selected, Hanwha is promising to deliver the first sub to the Royal Canadian Navy by 2032, just before Canada's aging Victoria-class subs will need to be fully retired.
We are building the Navy Canada needs to defend all three of our oceans.
A joint Germany-Norway bid to supply Canada with TKMS's Type 212CD submarine is the other shortlisted option. Both are said to be able to patrol the Arctic Ocean, vital to Canada's security in the north.
I do trust that we will choose the best submarine for Canada at the right time, and it will be an operationally viable submarine.
The joint Germany-Norway bid, they're meeting with the federal government in the weeks ahead. You believe that the Hanwha sub is a step above?
I do. You can see it. It's here right now. It's a known quantity. It's an extremely low-risk solution for the Canadian government.
The arrival of the Republic of Korea's Navy here in Canadian waters is well-timed. Ottawa is poised to announce the winner of the multi-billion-dollar contract to build Canada's next fleet of submarines this summer. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, CFB Esquimalt.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in New Delhi today for a 4-day visit aimed at resetting ties with India. Rubio touched down earlier today on a mission to shore up relations. Those ties have been battered by American tariffs and Washington's renewed engagement with Pakistan and China.
And just in the past year, we've seen this partnership deepen in ways that don't often make headlines or aren't splashy, but are important and real and tangible and enduring. We've expanded commercial ties now with more than $20 billion in investments. $20 billion in investments from Indian companies in the United States.
Coming up, it's rare, but some people's oven doors have been exploding.
No one thinks that they're going to have a ticking time bomb in their kitchen in which glass will fly all over the place.
And more than 40 injuries have been reported. Police describe it as the most prolific case of voyeurism ever prosecuted in Canada. A BC man has been sentenced after admitting to secretly recording hundreds of women and girls and posting those images online. Martin McMahon has the story.
The scale of this is hard to comprehend. 39-year-old Yin Young Derek Chan of Saanich has been handed a 4.5-year sentence following a voyeurism investigation which police believe involved 652 victims. Women and girls photographed or recorded without their knowledge or consent, with those images then posted to websites around the world.
These images and videos were taken in retail spaces, public spaces, including parks, beaches, near private settings.
This follows Chan pleading guilty to a number of charges in October of last year, including voyeurism, making child pornography, recording people in a place they'd expect privacy, observing or recording for a sexual purpose, and publishing a recording obtained in the commission of a crime.
Certainly is challenging working with victims that don't know if they've been filmed or photographed. That being said, our investigators are still working at identifying the victims that are in the imagery and the videos and are proactively reaching out.
Chan has been in the news before, put on wanted posters in 2021 after he allegedly recorded video of a woman at a Forever 21 location at the Uptown Mall in Victoria while she was in a changing room. He was charged and then failed to show up for his court appearance.
If anyone believes they're a victim, they know a victim, or supporting somebody, you can contact our police department. We can always have an investigator speak with you in whatever form is comfortable for you, really taking a victim-centered approach here moving forward.
Police have identified 40 victims and say they're working on having all images related to this case taken off the internet. While Chan has been sentenced to 4.5 years, when time served is factored in, he will spend 31 months behind bars, or just over 2.5 years. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Edmonton Police Service is using ethical hackers to stop scammers in their tracks. The force says the unconventional collaboration has helped prevent the loss of tens of millions of dollars. Naramanisa explains.
Criminals are getting smarter, more innovative, and reaching further.
Edmonton's police chief says fraud investigations have become more advanced.
From a policing perspective, this has dissolved our physical borders and means these investigations aren't what they used to be.
EPS has now hired hackers for its fraud investigations. They've been working with police since last July.
A unique opportunity for us to actually get involved before things could actually happen and people were victimized.
EPS says ethical hackers target frauds that are in progress. They engage with scam centers, then use their expertise to hack into its systems and gain access.
They capture data on victims. They can hear victims on the phone. They can see information going back and forth. And then they will then in turn provide that intelligence information to us so that we can then engage.
In 10 months, EPS says it's intercepted more than $45 million from getting into the hands of scammers.
Without them, we wouldn't be here to talk about this investigative success.
Ethical hackers have a very important role with law enforcement.
This cybersecurity analyst says it's now a crucial skill.
Crime has also become more digital. It is inevitable that we're going to see more of these collaborations, more of these types of stories, and more people getting criminally charged as a result of the efforts of law enforcement working with these experts and private industry.
EPS says as long as crime goes online, it'll be crucial to use ethical hackers. It's also worked with dozens of law enforcement agencies, including the U.S. Secret Service. Nair Misa, CTV News, Edmonton.
It might be difficult for some in Canada to book a mammogram because of a shortage of radiation technologists. Some women in Atlantic Canada have been waiting more than a year. Vanessa White explains.
This is Tara Wilkins celebrating the end of her final chemo treatment. Last May, she noticed a dent in her right breast and was told to get a mammogram as soon as possible.
I actually called the IWK right away and said, I'm presenting with a symptom that looks concerning. I was told it was going to be 2 months. I also think 2 months is a long time to wait when someone actually has a symptom. And I begged them to be seen earlier. They said no. I asked if I could go somewhere else and have a mammogram somewhere else. They said no, because I would still need one from them again.
She eventually got a mammogram 6 months later in October, and in November she was diagnosed with stage 2, grade 2 invasive ductal carcinoma, a process she believes shouldn't have taken as long as it did.
It's not standard of care. It's unacceptable in my mind, especially someone that's presenting with a symptom.
The average wait time for a mammogram screening at Nova Scotia Health sites is 225 days. And at IWK sites, the average wait time is 469 days. In Fredericton, Green Party leader David Kuhn says women are waiting an average of 165 days for a mammogram. It's an issue that boils down to staffing shortages.
We've learned recently that Nova Scotia Health, as an example, is short 14 of the required medical radiologists that deliver radiation care in cancer care.
If you happen to live in Nova Scotia, where mortality breast cancer rates are some of the highest in the country, the desire to get a mammogram is almost as great as the wait.
This type of delay does strike fear in patients in terms of what this means for them, what this means for their families, what this means for their own care.
As for Wilkins, she encourages others to advocate for their health and never take no for an answer.
If I had have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have accepted that. I would have showed up there every day, or at least once a week, and demanded to be seen.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
With students using artificial intelligence more than ever, professors have had to adapt the way they grade. So how are they doing that? Lisa Giacchini is a teacher and researcher at Cégep Édouard Montpetit, and she joins us now. Hi there, Lisa.
Hi.
So how common is it for post-secondary students to use AI, and how are they using it?
Well, we don't have a good control. We don't know the exact number of students using artificial intelligence in our class. So that's a reason why it's so important that we are ensuring that there is no plagiarism in our evaluations.
So you found through your work that 3/4 of Cégep teachers have changed the way they evaluate students. What are they doing differently?
Yeah, that's right. 3/4, about half of the samples, they are actually changing the evaluation in a sense of more controlled methods. So like a controlled environment. So for example, the evaluation that were normally made at home, they are now just in class. And 1/4 of it are changing the evaluation in very creative way, like for example, adding reflecting questions in the evaluation as particular segments of evaluation. They are also incorporating oral parts in their evaluation, and they are using more contextualized situations or real life context situations.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, but are there subjects that it's easier to detect AI? You know, there's a straight math problem. It could be very different from interpreting a work of literature, for instance.
Yeah, of course. There are the difficulty actually is discipline dependent. So of course, for some disciplines, like for example in philosophy and literature, the problem is much more present because of course, if they used to do a lot of evaluation at home, and if for composing an essay or a text, the students are using artificial intelligence at home, of course, that cannot be the subject of an evaluation. That cannot be an evaluation. So that's why in that disciplines, they have the tendency to really use controlled environment approach. So make all the evaluations in class rather than at home.
All right, and for students, we'll wrap up with this. Is there a risk of depending on AI to do your schoolwork?
Yeah, of course, there is the problem of cognitive overloadings that have to be addressed because there are cognitive tasks that a person needs to learn before delegating it to artificial intelligence. Of course, like everybody use the calculator, for example, but of course, students have to learn to do the calculation by themselves, even if the calculation exists. So at the same way, we cannot delegate all the tasks to artificial intelligence. We need to learn before how to write, how to compose a text, etc. And then we can eventually delegate once we move to other tasks, to other more complex project that involved different segments, etc. Then it may be an option to use artificial intelligence, but we have to be able to develop our cognitive skills first.
All right, Lisa, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your insight on the matter.
Thank you.
Time now for In Case You Missed It. The Montreal melon is back. Thought to be lost, it's being planted again at the former Bluebonnets racetrack, the same site where the city has major plans for a new neighborhood. Matt Grillo reports.
Garden trowel in hand, this group is planting the latest batch of Montreal melons, trying to produce the rare fruit that disappeared decades ago. Organized by Multicaf, a Montreal food bank, this is the third year the Bluebonnets micro farm plants the Montreal melon, trying not only to recreate the look, but also the taste.
I think that it's going to take a little while before we get to something that is really closer to what they used to have back then.
It's not easy to do. Pierre Cardinal says his grandfather produced Montreal melons a century ago. There's no one alive today who knew the melons of that era, he says. All of this work is being done on the grounds of the Hippodrome. But the city and province have big plans for this land. The Namur Hippodrome project has been promised, and the development would create 20,000 new homes. Quebec even tabled Bill 22 to help the city develop the Hippodrome site. In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson from the mayor's office said, Namur Hippodrome sector represents a major opportunity. We are following developments in Quebec City very closely around Bill 22, as it could play an important role in helping accelerate the deployment of this project and provide greater flexibility in how it is delivered. Even with these major plans, the micro-farm hopes it can have a space alongside some new neighbors.
Our goal is to be considered by the city to be part of the project. And what the Melon Montreal does, it's also acting as a kind of a mascot for that.
And these gardeners are hoping to produce the perfect Montreal melon.
We have some indication, the color, the taste, sugar taste, so we'll see. It's an experience. I want to taste one at the end of summer is the reason I'm here.
They plan to harvest this crop in late August, and they hope they're one step closer to recreating a piece of Montreal's history. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
There's been instances of glass oven doors exploding. It's relatively rare, but happened to a range of brands. Pat Foran explains.
Imagine being at home when you hear the sound of something shattering in the kitchen. Many consumers say when their oven's glass doors exploded, it sounded like a bomb went off.
No one thinks that they're going to have a ticking time bomb in their kitchen in which glass will fly all over the place.
Consumer Reports investigation focused on complaints filed with the Consumer Product Safety Commission over a 15-month period. There were 386 incidents and more than 40 injuries. In many cases, the oven wasn't even on.
Some were asleep in bed. They went downstairs. They touched the oven. It was cold to the touch, but there was glass all over the floor.
There have been similar complaints dating back more than a decade, and they're not limited to a single manufacturer.
Although Frigidaire is cited more than any other company, we're seeing this issue across brands.
Consumer Reports contacted the 5 manufacturers with the most complaints. LG said it's aware of the problem, but has not identified a basis at this time for additional action. The other 4 companies said their products meet third-party safety standards. Samsung is the only company to say it offers free repairs regardless of warranty status.
We're calling on these companies to work with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, dig into the incidents, and offer free repairs to consumers.
There may be no obvious warning signs before that the glass in the oven door is about to fail.
There's nothing clear besides possibly if there's a chip or a crack or damage in the glass. And if that was to happen, I would contact the manufacturer immediately.
If your oven glass door does shatter, it's best to take photos, keep any repair records, and contact the manufacturer. Well, at first it appeared these cases were rare. Now there's proof it's a widespread problem that needs attention. Pat Foran, CTV News.
After the break, from the soccer field to the screen.
6 World Cups, 4 Olympics, 23 years in red and white.
Christine Sinclair's story hits the big screen. After the sudden death of 2-time NASCAR champion Kyle Busch at 41 years old, investigators have now determined a cause of death. Morgan Norwood reports.
Tonight, tributes around the track for NASCAR legend Kyle Busch. Busch's number 8 freshly painted on the infield grass entering turn 1 on the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the track where he was set to race tomorrow. Today, his family said he died of severe pneumonia that progressed into sepsis.
Sepsis is essentially an overwhelming immune response, usually to an infection, that can cause some severe complications and be fatal.
A 911 call made just hours before he died Thursday.
I've got an individual that's shortness of breath, very hot, thinks he's going to pass out, and is producing a little bit of blood, coughing up some blood.
The Associated Press says Busch was training in a racing simulator Wednesday, but taken to the hospital after becoming unresponsive. Just 2 weeks ago, Busch asking for a doctor to meet him following a race in New York.
Can somebody try to find Phil Heisel, the Hendrick doctor guy? Tell him I need him after the race, please. I'm going to need a shot. Copy. He'll be at your bus.
Race announcers said he suffered from a sinus cold all week, made worse by intense G-forces and elevation changes on the course. Last Saturday, he bounced back to win the Truck Series race at Dover and then finished 17th in the All-Star race Sunday. Busch winning 234 races across NASCAR's top 3 series, more than any other race driver in history. He entered NASCAR at 16 and was known for his brash, aggressive driving style and embraced the title Rowdy.
And to me, Kyle Busch just defines what it means to be a racer in NASCAR. We watched him become a husband and a father the same way we watched him become a champion, and we all did that as a family. We were all part of that.
Tomorrow, all 39 drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series race will have Busch's number 8 decal on their cars in tribute. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
The Montreal Roses remain undefeated in the NSL this season with a 2-1 win over the Ottawa Rapid.
Petrosky continues to run, might get there. Chu goes to ground, Petrosky carries on, and Boychuk.
A pair of first-half goals from Montreal forward Taylor Boychuk were enough to secure the win. The Roses are at the top of the standings with 4 wins and a draw for 13 points. They return home next and play the Vancouver Rise at Stade Boreal next Saturday. Canadian soccer legend Christine Sinclair is the inspiration behind a new short animation film called Kind of a Big Deal. Her goal is to inspire the next generation of players. Sean Leathong has more.
She's the all-time leading goal scorer in international soccer history. Today, an animated short documentary about the Canadian soccer star's life has been released, titled Christine Sinclair, Kind of a Big Deal.
So what, I just say my name?
I think it's kind of fitting. I like to be in the background and not have the spotlight on me, and people are kind of pushing me into it.
6 World Cups, 4 Olympics, 23 years in red and white.
The 8-minute film is narrated by actor Ryan Reynolds and directed by animator Ian Duffy. Available on YouTube, Apple TV, and Roku, Sinclair wanted her story told in a sharp, fun way that can be easily understood.
So I hope for young kids it's inspirational. I hope for young kids that they learn that the path isn't always like a straight arrow. Where you want to go, there's ups and downs, and that's okay.
Sinclair scored 190 international goals for Canada, her first coming at age 16.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
The film touches on setbacks like failing to win a game at the 2011 World Cup, personal loss in her mother and first soccer coach Sandra due to MS, to the high of winning Olympic gold in 2021. But for the athlete, her greatest moment came here in Canada.
The opening game of the World Cup here in Canada in 2015, you know, walking out in front of 60,000 screaming Canadians, just a moment that, as a female soccer player, I never thought I would have the privilege of experiencing, and getting to experience that with my best friends.
Sinclair scoring the only goal to beat China 1-0, and that proud moment was a milestone for female athletes moving towards a world where women's professional soccer, hockey, and basketball all exist in this country.
It's pretty surreal. I dreamt of that my entire career, to be able to play at home, or as a kid to be able to go watch women play sports. It's pretty crazy that it's here and it's thriving.
Sean Leathong, CTV News.
A 5-day-old seal pup is recovering after being rescued under a ferry dock north of Vancouver Island. The baby seal was found without its mother and was taken to Vancouver Rescue Center weak and severely underweight. The seal's name means survivor in the Haida language. Summer is seal pupping season, and experts say it is common to see pups on the shore, though they are almost never abandoned. After the break, a double diploma.
Victor-Edouard Ball.
A graduation ceremony for the student and 4-legged helper at École Polytechnique. It It was a very special graduation at the University of Montreal's École Polytechnique for a student and his helper.
Victor-Edouard Ball.
That is Victor-Edouard Ball receiving his degree in mechanical engineering with his dog Quebec by his side. Victor is on the autism spectrum and suffers from ADHD. Quebec is a service dog and has been with him for every single class over the past 5 years. Victor says before getting him, he had trouble passing even elementary school classes. But at École Polytechnique, Victor and Quebec are a huge hit.
People love her because she's cute, and that distresses them too. The effect of the dog is not only on me when I'm in a room, she will have this effect on other people too. And the teachers especially love her because I'm always first row in the class, so the teacher is like 5 feet away from the dog, so he can spend his whole class simply looking at the dog while giving us the subject. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, that is it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening and take care of each other.